Hi, I'm Natasha Ryan from Premier Risk Solutions, and this is our video series, Strong, Safe, and True, where we talk to leaders in the security sector about relevant topics to today's security world. I have my friend Brittany Galli with me today. Brittany, thank you so much. And this is going to be a little bit different. Instead of like a PowerPoint presentation and like a formal, meeting of the minds with some ideas and talking points, I thought you and I talked, this would be better just to have a free-flowing conversation.
Absolutely.
So first of all, give us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in security, please.
Yeah, well, like many people in the industry, I ended up here on accident. I'm actually finance and operations from Northern California in the Bay Area, and worked in the financial world for consulting as well as education. And when I moved to the East Coast, I got more and more involved with operational corporate operations. And then actually I was introduced and asked to join the Mobohubb team about 9 years ago. And so since then, over the course of the years, I've, not only grown up inside of the company itself, but also in the industry, starting as a young professional in women in security. And now I am the Chief Success Officer at Mobohubb, which oversees most of the operations and finance and partnerships. And then actually, this coming year, I will be the chair for the Global Women in Security community with ASIS. So,
Yay!
Yay!
Woo! Congrats on that. We
Thank you
love
very much.
ASIS. Okay, so
lots of work it is, but all very rewarding.
yes, volunteer work at that.
Yes.
Okay, Brittany, so that kind of leads us nicely right into what I want to talk about with you, which is getting security done. So Brittany had this great idea to form this group out of a brunch, right? It started at a brunch at a GSX conference. Did I have that right?
Breakfast at Brittany's, because that was about
breakfast at Brittany's. I love it.
Because that was about the only time everybody could meet, A, and B, it has a nice ring to it, I think. And then C, the purpose of it really was that I wanted to get together some industry peers and colleagues that I had heard a lot about globally from around the globe, even outside the United States, who really wanted to impact change. And, they were sick of doing it the old way. They were sick of doing it the way it's always been done. And I said, well, let's just get together and chat it out, right? And see what organically comes from it. And that's exactly what happened. You get a bunch of really smart people together in one spot, and I'll be damned if it doesn't come out some
great ideas are born.
Yeah.
Okay, Brittany. So specifically, what needed to change? Like what was in your mind and in these masterminds' minds about what needed to shift from old school to new?
Yeah, I think there was a couple key wins and key consensus items that we all kind of came to. One was that we needed to lift up the industry from a technology perspective. A lot of the other industries had a better way to connect, a better connection. And that was one thing we were missing, is everybody, wanted to go back to the business card level, and we always wanted to go to the LinkedIn level or, chat rooms, threads, that type of thing, to just kind of lift up the technology acumen, if you will, of the industry itself. Get out of the Google spreadsheet, or get out of the spreadsheets and get into the technology systems that are doing things for you. Get out of the paper and the pencil, get out of the old school vibe we had going. And that was really where a lot of this spurred, is that we came up with some key education topics that we said, man, if everybody would just watch these key things and could learn more about them, and we gave them a free platform, or we gave them a free place to go and get this education, learn more about the industry and how to succeed in it, then let's see if they come. And they did, which was great.
And what did they come to? How did that all pan out?
Yeah, so we started with GSD Talks, which was basically a webinar series of education. And what we did was we started linking because we all had, that was one very core concepts that was amazing, was we all had really amazing networks because we were hustlers.
Yeah.
We were all hustlers in this industry. And by hustle, I mean, we all worked, volunteered, blood, sweat, and tears, had passion for this industry and its growth. And that was one of the things that glued us together. And so GSD Talks was basically, we were using our networks to connect the executives of many companies, including the Steve Joneses of Allied Universal, to if you were a young professional and you were trying to get in the industry, what would you hire? Who would you hire? Right. So connecting the top tier with the bottom tier so we can bring up that level, because that was one of the other things that was missing, is there's no talent pool in the security industry. And that was, how do we get that talent pool increased? How do we keep people inside of this industry? Because what we do is we see a lot, and this is again from our perspective, a lot of people come and leave.
Yeah, so a lot of turnover.
A lot of turnover. And so how do we keep that talent pool? How do we keep them engaged, not frustrated? And that was kind of where the GSD talks things. And then GSD fails spurred from that, because then it was, well, this is amazing education, but I've also failed in my career, and here's how. And here's the 5 tactical steps of how I would do it again so I wouldn't fail so hard, right? Failing is learning.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, that's where GSD fails came, which was perfect spin-off of that. And then we just kept it going.
That's awesome. I love it. So remind me how long GSD has been around at this point? 2 years?
Yeah, it'll be September 2019 was the first time we met. And so we've met every single week since then. And we've done a lot of work. And even, like I said, sub projects that people probably don't even see on the exterior, but there are things that we're doing in the background to better the industry across the board. And what the cool part is that we all work together. So it's 12 people of, undivided network and intelligence that really get to say, if I wanted to go make a better methodology for, security analytics or security technology or security solutions, who I'm going to pull on these 12 people, and we're all going to do it together. We bounce ideas off each other. So it's really cool to see that we're not just doing things like webinars and such on that. We are actually doing industry change behind the scenes.
It's amazing. I love this topic. Okay, so let's talk about being a woman in the security sector. I always love this question, and I posed it actually.
I love it that you asked it.
Yeah, and I talked to Bridget from GoDaddy. I think you know her, Guerrero, yesterday, and she hasn't had. She came from the Marines. Like, she hasn't had a lot of the issues that maybe some other women have. I haven't been in the industry long enough to experience a ton of issues, right? So I'd like to pick your brain on this. How have you seen it transform also in the past few years for women? So what was it like for you starting out as a woman? How have you seen it kind of go over the years?
Yeah, and I have kind of 2 perspectives to this. I get a viewpoint that not everybody gets, because I get reached out to a lot because of women in security and being a leader inside of women in security. So for instance, I'll hear from 5 or 6 different women in security from across the globe on a weekly basis, asking questions, trying to get more involved, or honestly just telling us, here's the roadblock I ran up against. What would you do if you were me?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an everyday thing. So there are that many women out there, believe it or not, in the industry. But it's an interesting concept, because when I entered the industry, I was 27 as a young female. Yeah. And it was very much an old guys club. And I think that term's a bit overused now, but it was very much, I'm going to work with who I know, and they're likely over 55 and people I've only done, business with and or only trusted since then. And what happened was, over the course of, let's say, 4 or 5 years later, which was now probably 3 or 4 years ago, is that was all of a sudden not okay anymore. And for lots of reasons. And I'll say that as the Me Too movement came out for transparency and accountability of integrity, that also helped curb some of what we call, which is, we not enough diversity in the security industry for women. Yeah. And what was cool was all the reach out and support we got from not just that initiative, but it was really spitballing and snowballing into a male support role inside of this industry to help women get promoted, get in the industry, and have a better, I think just a greater confidence level. And that was really what was cool. And so at each one of these events, for instance, I went to 6 conferences of 1 year in that 2018 and 2019. I went to 6 conferences and spoke on behalf of women in security in one way, shape, or form. And everybody always asks, how can I help women in security? And I said, you can do 3 things. I said, you can help somebody around you that's a woman in security get promoted. I said, you can get them connected. Introduce them to 9 people in your network, because they'll take 3 and actually go and learn something and expand their network, exponentially.
I like that.
And then the third thing is just support us. If you see a webinar that somebody does in the industry, do it. If you want to go and just follow us and like comments, do it. And the reason is because it sets us up for success to then be respected. And the first step is respect. And after you have that, you can have growth. But I see more and more every single day, females from across the world joining these communities, and they're finally, after years and years, not afraid to speak up. And so I think we've done our job, at least half the milestone.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And part of the reason, and I always say this, is part of the reason I love being in this security industry is you are truly surrounded by people with a more, how do I put it? Like maybe like core nature of altruism, right? People just want to help others, right? Like you're motivated by helping others stay safe and protected.
It's so cool. It is so cool. I'll tell you what, I feel the safest at security conferences. I tell my family, I'm like, look, you have to understand, I'm going to a security conference. Like that is the safest place I can almost probably go to. So don't feel afraid, right? But I think you're absolutely right. And I've thought about that before, is the core concept of this person in the security industry natively wants to keep people safe. They want to help them. Mm-hmm. They want to, keep them protected, whether it's, physically or mentally, because mental is also also a detriment to security, right? Yes. I said, and that's the other thing, is there's so much passion for it. There's so many people out there that are passionate about it. And like I said, I've just been very fortunate in my career where people have asked, I've gotten to know them, but you can't be afraid. You gotta be willing to just say hi and say hi back. You have to have that. But I think you're absolutely right. It's
kind of growing up, I went to 9 different schools, and I always joke that I would just walk up and be like, "Hi, I'm Natasha, and we're going to be friends."
Right. You were that girl, which is awesome.
I was that girl. I'm like, oh, she's going to be my friend. I'm going to make it happen.
I love it.
And I feel like, yes, like you kind of have to go about it and truly interact and make it genuine and meet people. But it is it's so funny that we tend to fall into it, right? Like I fell 100%. Into security, and now I'm like, oh, I love this industry. So I totally get it.
A lot of amazing people. And like I said, when I started helping women in security about 5.5 years ago now, there's 11% was the statistic. 11% of the industry was female, including officers and everybody. Like that was the statistic. And I can't tell you that rate that statistic has increased, but I can feel it. Yeah. I can feel it. That's the cool part, is we're here not just because women in security stood up and said something. We're here because everybody in the industry said, let's make this an initiative and let's do something about it. And they're doing something about it every day. And that, for the whole industry, I have to say thank you to everybody, because without it, we wouldn't change things.
Well, I feel a kindness games post coming on.
I know. I feel it is. Another GSD spinoff. I love it.
I know. We just aired that segment about the kindness games too. So check out the blog for that if you're wondering what we're referencing. But thank you for explaining getting security done. We're at our time limit. Brittany, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Love what you're doing. Love what GSD is doing, and love women in security. So
thank you, Natasha.
Really good stuff. And thanks to all of you for watching, and continue to come back to premierrisksolutions.com for more videos just like this one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.